All right, so, hey, everybody, Shane here with daily-astrocat.com, and I've got something here for you. We're going to call it Venus Enters Gemini and More. What's more? Well, there's a lot more, let me tell you. Okay, so let's go. Let's get started here. So this is a special daily-astrocat.com, only because it's for a week towards Friday. Actually, it's for the 4th of July. So here we go. So, Venus is once again on the move. Yep, she's going, right? On the 4th of July, Venus is going to enter the aneretic degree of Taurus and form a conjunction with Uranus. And finally, enter the sign of Gemini. Okay, now, that's going to take us places, right? This is going to feel familiar. Venus is a personal planet, and as such, the effects of her transits, which this shift is definitely one of those transits, right? Taurus to Gemini, are immediately felt and are easily relatable. Personal planet, right? Now, the moon in Scorpio activates some powerful points into this chart as she sweeps through the early bits of Scorpio today. That would be on the 4th, Friday, right? This is going to take us down a deep rabbit hole. Looking down, right? That rabbit hole runs deep. Now, if you wish to learn more about the asteroid Haumea or Nyods, this episode is going to be for you. Stay till the end, right? You know the drill. Come on. Let's do this, okay? If you dig what I'm saying, like, subscribe, do all those nice things, right? Promise I don't bite unless you ask me to, okay? Now, finally, Neptune is going to station retrograde. That's what's going to happen. It's all in one day, okay? This all happens on Friday, July 4th. Fireworks, right? Ready? Let's go. So we got Venus in a Taurian crisis. Feed me, Seymour. Yes, indeed. All right, so what do we got going on here? Well, this is just a play on some of the aneretic degree. Let's talk about the aneretic degree, shall we? What the heck is it? The Oxford English Dictionary happens to define it as such. You ready? The term aneretic in astrology, specifically referring to the 29th degree in a zodiac sign, originates from the Greek verb, anerenin, which means to kill or to destroy, anerenin. In traditional astrology, this degree is associated with the planet's most difficult aspect to Heilig, the life giver of the chart, okay? And in karmic astrology, it can represent unresolved issues from past lives. Okay. The term aneretic itself is believed to be derived from the Greek word aneretikos, okay? Now, Llewellyn's Encyclopedia of Llewellyn things defines the aneretic degree as follows. In astrology, the name is given to the 29th degree of any sign. It is sometimes called the degree of fate. Now, when a planet is in the aneretic degree of a sign, especially the water signs like Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, spiritual qualities, including intuition, intuitiveness, psychic abilities, and empathy associated with the planet and the sign are enhanced. That's a strange way to look at it, right? It's kind of interesting. I like that. Now, the term aneretic degree, that's actually quite new and refers to an ancient point that was called that degree of fate. You saw that in the Llewellyn. In the Llewellyn description, right? The Llewellyn definition. So, the ancients, look, degree of fate, right? The ancients, they weren't afraid to lay that stuff right on you, right? They'd tell you when horrible things were going to happen. Whatever was going to befall you, oh no, a boulder. Yes, something like that, right? In fact, they kind of thrived on that stuff, except when they got it wrong for the king and then tables were turned. So anyway, given the past proclivities for maltreatment of our fellow human beings, hello, fellow human beings, mistreat. This, as they say, checks out, right? Yeah, it checks out. Look, in modern astrology, to me, this marks the end of the season. There's a natural resistance to change that's going to be occurring, and this tends to bring out some of the negative traits that are associated with that period that is currently ending. Oh, yeah. Think about the leading up to when Pluto was in that aneretic degree of Capricorn heading into Aquarius, right? Yeah, that was some stuff starting to fly. Uh-huh. I can put some reminders down below, but I don't think I have to remind some of you. So anyway, let's go on. Let's move along, right? Shall we? For me, this aneretic degree of fate is where the patriarchy is trying to fight off change. Get back. Get back. It's where we review and absorb the lessons of the Venus transit. Now, for me, the Venus has had me take a more active role in my finances, more so than I've ever taken before, right? I have a plan. I also have more money at my disposal, even with spending significant amounts for household upgrades. Now my choice is very simple. Do I hold on to these old beliefs, or do I bust out and trust in my ability to say the right thing, do the work, and invest without fear in myself and in my ability to make more money to satisfy Venus? Now, does this scenario speak to you? What is it that you are facing financially, artistically, or romantically that will come to a boiling point and need to be addressed before Venus changes signs? I can give you one hint. Moderation will be your key to advancement. That's because there's a sextile with Saturn, right? We're going to get into that. Okay, so now, Venus and Taurus. Imagine Venus is the hot person you're attracted to, okay? Oh yeah, she's in Aries, right? That's hot. Now she's in Taurus. That person knows how to live, has a good job, and is emotionally stable, and has a pretty nice financial portfolio. Venus loves this lifestyle, right? Oh yeah, this is going to be great. Put on the jazz records. Let's stir some beautiful drinks, right? Let's make some drinks, shall we? Let's enjoy this, right? Yet somehow Venus knows that this is going to change. It does every year. Okay, so now that person seems to lack ambition. The portfolio is subject to market fluctuations, and the company just got bought out by venture capitalists. Uh-oh, aneretic degree. Something is different. What opportunities can open up when comfort is no longer comforting? What happens when we take charge of our own direction? In Taurus, cash is king. Those who control the capital reap the benefits. In Gemini, we put our money where our mouth is, so to speak. Venus is going to love this. Quick ideas, innovation, and new possibilities. Sales opportunities. Why not? Offer us way more than sitting on our laurels in a pasture, watching the world go by. Oh, poor Saturn. Okay, so we're going to begin with the moon entering Scorpio. There will seem like a groundswell of protest rising, particularly in the United States, okay? It is political, it is social, and it's going to intensify. As much as you would like to think this should or should not be the case, it's going to be very self-evident as this week continues what is going on, right? I couldn't avoid Taurus responsibilities. Just couldn't get away from it, right? Venus and Taurus, that made me very responsible with money matters and everything, right? The house is improving. Our family is growing. And I need to have the other things I do to match this pace of growth and change. I have a feeling that this is pretty universal across the board. Everybody's going to be feeling this a little bit, right? We're feeling like, hey, you know what? This is pretty good, but I could definitely use a little bit more. The life is changing, and I need to change with it, right? That's the only thing that you're guaranteed, change. Okay, here's our first chart. Whoa, if I can keep on from flipping it. Okay, this chart is for July 4th. And let me tell you, first, note the conjunction between the Sun and Jupiter. So we've got the Sun and Jupiter right here, okay? Ignore the clock faces for now, okay? They're not going to do much for us. No, there's 4 conjunctions on this chart. We've got the conjunction of Venus and Uranus. We've got Neptune and Saturn, and we also have the Moon and Black Moon Lilith right here. They're far apart right now, but they're going to be getting close together. All right, it's a wide conjunction at this point. Whereas if you were to look at, say, well, we don't have anything the same sign right now. We do have same sign conjunctions. So, for example, Chiron would be a same sign conjunction as Neptune and Saturn. That's a concept, okay? Keep that in your memory bank. This is an important concept for a larger a larger overview of things. When we have a same sign conjunction, it's like, oh, look, Saturn. And then we have Mars over in Virgo that's affecting all those planets in Aries right now. It's also affecting the planets that are in Scorpio as well. So that's going to be very interesting. Now, the Scorpio moon, look, it's going to be intense because it's right here with Black Moon Lilith. Do you see this blue line right here? That's a trine. Okay, that's that easy energy. That's that compatible energy that Saturn and the Sun are actually feeling with Black Moon Lilith and the Moon in Scorpio. Desire, right? Emotion, what it is, what's going to feed us, and sustain us and get us moving forward and motivate us, remember? Because Cancer is that motivating sign. Scorpio is a sign of dig deep, get it done, let's find out how to do it, we're going to make it happen, right? And we're going to keep on going, pedal to the metal until we do it. Okay, that's where that is. Now, Lilith is the drive behind. Okay, think about it this way. If Virgo in Mars is a forensic scientist, right? Because see it right there, that we've got those little sextiles coming out. So we're going to definitely have yods, right? If that's the forensic scientist, then the Moon in Scorpio is the investigator. Lilith is the drive behind the investigation. She is the unconventional one, the crazy one on the team that won't stop until they arrive at the truth. That's what Black Moon Lilith is. It's that desire. It's that not being told, you can't do that, by the captain, right? Police dramas. It's been decades since I've seen one. Okay, anyway. Let's talk about moon phase for the week. I love talking about this because this fixes into everything, and it's going to get us squared right away on this July 4th stuff. The moon is in the second quarter on Wednesday, July the 2nd in Virgo. That's report card day, right? That's a good point to say, okay, that's where we're at, right? Virgo, very exacting. That's how we're starting off our week, right? Our work week, at least. We started off in Leo a little bit, but then we got right in that Virgo vibe Sunday morning, and it hasn't let up. Okay, now, I'm actually working under the constraints of it right now. So that's why I'm being so exact and trying to get everything where it should be. I resisted this because I didn't have all this information on Sunday, so I actually took today to get all that information down for you. It's important to remember that this is when most growth is achieved, right? It's the second quarter. That's when most growth is done, right? New moon, you plant the seeds. Second quarter, the moon waxes all the way up until she reaches her culmination point. Full, right? That's where we're at right now. We are growing into our manifestations. The second quarter, folks, people who are born around this time with the moon, this phase, they're used to sustaining the growth and watching things take off. As in mission control, we have first stage separation. Boom, ready to leave, right? Getting out into orbit. When's the mission done? Don't know, but we're going to be happy once it leaves the Earth's orbit and is on its way. So, now, this is something interesting because I wanted to show you this. This is a section of the same chart as when Uranus and this is actually when the moon enters Scorpio because it's at 5:33 in the morning, and this particular chart is an asteroid chart. Now you can see here that we've got a bunch of here's all the planet listings. Here's the house cusps that you see. Whole sign houses refer to the 0 degree, right? That's where it starts. 0 degree. That's what a whole sign house is. I don't believe in the lines in the sky and trying to separate the pie and, Placidus and, houses that don't exist by sign. All right? Don't like that. Have signs so big that it has 2 cusp lines in it so you lose an entire sign in that. No, I think it works better with the whole sign houses. At least that's how my chart translates better to me, and the world translates a little bit better to me in the terms of these whole signs. So what I have here is I got little dots where I've marked the Scorpio planets, right? There's some Scorpio planets. We've got Haumea. Okay, so let's talk about this. Now, Haumea is named after the creation goddess of the Hawaiian Islands, and she's in the first degree of Scorpio. She represents a female creation archetype. She's a provider, and she's Chthonian by nature, right? She's the lava that comes up. That's how the islands were formed, right? The islands are formed by her body in the myths that surround Haumea. So She's very tricksy and protective of people as well. So that's an interesting point. To me, Haumea always represents new land, volcanic growth, right? That cycle of where it just comes up out of the earth and we get new land coming. It's regeneration in extreme. It takes a couple of years for it to happen, but once it does happen, we're seeing that new growth pushing forward. And for us, it's not literal new growth, but it's new ground for us to find to be fertile upon. That's probably a nice explanation of it. Now, with the moon at 5 degrees Cancer, look at the other asteroids that are near that degree. So what else do we have that's near 5 degrees? Well, we've got a 2, a 0. We've got Ixion at 6. We've got a couple, and we've got Vesta at 6, and we've got Juno at 16. So Vesta in Scorpio as well is at 6 degrees. So with Jupiter at 5 degrees Cancer, that would make that an easy trine too. Vesta is the sign of the Vestal Virgins, right? It's an asteroid that was named after them. It represents in some forms, I think it would be service, almost like a Virgo type of thing. It's also the keeper of the oracles, right? The keeper of the flames. Maintaining faith and belief. That's a nice way to look at it. Haven't really gone into it. If you want to go into asteroids, hit the comments below and we will start going into it. We'll dive into them. All right, we'll do it all together. Maybe we'll even do it on a separate, we'll figure something out, right? Sedna is at 1 degree Gemini. That's very important because that's where Venus is going to be coming into, right? Sedna is a sea goddess, and she's a symbol of evolution and regeneration. You got to ask yourself a question, right? Her myth is very sad and tragic. She becomes a sea goddess and, very interesting, thrown overboard in a storm, gets her fingers cut off, fingers float down. She floats down into the ocean, fingerless. Her fingers become sea creatures like whales and seals and walruses and stuff. And she just becomes of the sea, right? She becomes the sea goddess. That's where she makes her realm with no fingers, apparently. All right. Will discarded and severed love be reclaimed, or will it morph into something beautiful? Ask yourself that question with Venus coming into contact with Sedna. Here is our busy chart. Now, this is the chart. It's going to be at 8:45. This is when Venus and Uranus will actually be conjunct. And you can see, I kind of covered this on the other one, but you can see that I outlined all the other planets that are conjunct as well. But I didn't highlight Saturn and Neptune. Now, Saturn and the Sun and Jupiter are conjunct and trine with the Sun and Black Moon and Lilith. This is the chart for this exact Venus and Uranus conjunction. There's a sextile between Venus and Uranus and Saturn and Neptune. This line right here, it's yellow. You can see the blue one I drew on top of it. That is the base of the yod, okay? The yod is actually with the moon and Haumea. Now, these two legs, this point down here with the finger, these are called the finger of God or the finger of fate, right? They're supposed to be directions that these energies here, and I love sextile energies. I really do. I think that they're the most useful because they give a direction for the effort to go in, right? Where trines are kind of effortless and they just kind of exist and it's kind of harmonious. To get a sextile to work, you really have to work towards something. And what you're working towards, you're taking Aries energy and you're actually combining it with some of this Gemini energy. But by sign, we've got a split, right? So you also have Uranus in Taurus. So we can get all these surprising things working for us in a really crazy way. Which way will it go? We don't know because Uranus is involved, right? We just don't know. It's crazy because Uranus is at that aneretic degree of Taurus. Markets could go up, they could go down. It could go flat, it could go crazy, it could go skyrocketing. You just don't know, right? 4th of July, you'd hope to think it would take off. But markets are closed here in the United States, so you're not going to know until the following week. Then again, the way things are going, it could be down as well. So we don't know. We got Saturn in there. Saturn's a planet of limitations, right? Saturn in Aries, well, it's just another way, right? Maybe there's another market. Maybe there's something you're missing, okay? Because I like to call Saturn that planet of doorways. Maybe there's something you haven't thought about. Maybe there's an investment strategy that you need to really look at, or you need to just look at your finances in general and see where you have an opportunity for that. Okay, so with the yod there, that's a lunar yod, okay? Fast. It disappears very quickly. Due to the speed of the moon, these yods, the lunar yods, form very quickly and they're gone, okay? It's like a bubble floating on a gentle breeze. The wind takes them aloft until they are no more. These yods are just like those bubbles. Temporary, beautiful. However, the sextiles provide the breeze, and the apex, where the two inconjuncts meet, the basis of the sextile, is the direction. In this case, the 4 planets at the base are working together. Creativity, ideas, prudent investment, and a wild streak of success or failure are indicated by this sextile. How can we unite these elements? You look no further than the first degree of Taurus. Why, Shane? Why? Well, that's where the semi-sextile meets, right? That's where the two energies meet, and that yod focuses it outward. But where the wind is really coming from, it's not coming from that side and that side. It's coming from the direction of where those two planets meet, which is that first degree of Taurus. This is the energy you will need as every single planet crosses into Scorpio and meets up with Haumea. That degree is a fixed, watery, intuitive, and powerful. Okay? That first degree of Scorpio. It's ruled by both Pluto and Mars. This is where we're going to realize that our efforts are going to succeed and be brought to life. Now, how does this work like that, Shane? Well, the moon is just showing us the direction. It's indicating the way. When all the planets catch up to the chart at this point, we should be able to remember what it is we're thinking today and just go on with it, right? This is a good place to set a goalpost. You set a goal for yourself right here, right now. When is the planets going into, well, we know when the sun goes into Scorpio, right? October 20th. Easy, right? That's easy button stuff. The other planets, stay here to daily-astrocat.com. You'll find out when they're going in. Easy button stuff. We do it all the work for you. Now, the key to doing this, okay, now look, how is it going to happen though? Well, we need to bring in that first degree of Taurus energy, right? There is an energy here that says Sabian symbol. I'm going to give it to you at the end, right? It's pure mountain stream. It's water purified, right? You got to purify your process, okay? You got to discard all the things. You got to purge the unnecessary things when the eclipse in Virgo occurs, because that's that south nodal eclipse. Purge it. Get rid of it. Get rid of the stuff that's not serving you. You're moving in a new direction. Commit to that new direction. Go to that new direction. Everything else, baggage. You get rid of it. You purify your process. You ground your intentions, and you speak very clearly what your new intentions are. This new ground, this new area, this new aspect is mine, and I claim it. Now, when Venus enters Gemini, which is later on in the day, we're going to find ourselves pretty much where this thing starts, right? Venus entering Gemini. Venus represents love, beauty, the arts, females, money, and peace. Venus in Gemini is a playful Venus. She craves excitement, conversation, and mental stimulation to stay engaged. It says metal, but, hey, we can change. Well, no, we can't. Oh, metal. All right. This is going to rub off a bit on all of us, okay? We don't have to have these native placements to have them affect us, okay? Now, this is going to be very interesting because Venus is going to light up both Saturn and Neptune. We're going to return to this later on, okay? Because once it lights up, that's that yod portion of it, right? Venus just activates that, and it's going to be like, whoa, hey, we're here. If you have mutable planets in your natal chart, you're going to find this curious, unexpected, and honestly annoying unless you're a Sagittarius, okay? Because Virgo and Pisces, that is a little bit too much talking that they're going to have to adjust to. But they're going to have to, but they will figure out how to work with this energy in a couple of days. Yep, it's just too much talk. The Earth signs are going to agree with this 100%. This is going to feel very unstabilizing, okay? Some thrive here, but earth signs in general, they're not really going to dig this. They're going to be like, where did Saturn go? Where why aren't you why aren't we in Taurus still? Huh? Taurus, yeah, that was nice. What about Capricorn? Oh, full moon's going to be in Capricorn. You're going to find out about that. Capricorn knows things. Saturn knows things, right? Mm-hmm. Don't listen to yourself going where you can't go back. You got to change with it. Just roll with it. Just hold on to whatever you can, okay? Air signs, however, they're going to love this, right? Venus, oh yeah, for Aquarius, this is start a revolution, right? Get the pitchforks and torches. It's going to be mostly a soft artistic revolution, though, because of the trine and the sextiles that Pluto is experiencing between Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn, right? We've got that nice little mini grand trine going on there. And that is where that energy is going to be wisely used and focused, okay? Look, if you're spurned in love, this is a game over, okay? Push the start button. This is for Aquarius, right? Yep, game over. Push the start button. It's done, right? Aquarius, you don't have time for that stuff. Gemini and Libra, yeah, they're much happier with this, right? This is going to be like, oh, yes, we had a great time in Taurus. Let's go. Now, honestly, Libra's going to kind of be missing the Taurus season. But, look, quite honestly, I agree with you. The wine and food were definitely better, okay, back in the Taurus season. However, it's mixed drink season, right? We're in summer. Let's go. Okay. Now, we have our chart for Venus entering Gemini. Now, there's not too much to talk about here because you can see that it happens at 11:31 on the 4th of July here on the East Coast, which is where I live, right? And you can see that right there. Now, you can still see that yacht is existing, but wait for it, okay? Because as we get closer into the evening, what we see when Neptune goes retrograde, that yacht disappeared. It's just not there. Look, here they are, right there. You got the one leg there, that leg's not there. The moon has moved past that point. That's why it's fleeting. That's why it's there, right? So believe me, back in the morning, in the early morning hours, like around 11 o'clock, please, please, please take a note of how you're feeling, where you're at, and that will give you some idea of what direction you're going to be heading in with this energy that's present, okay? Neptune is actually going to stand still. Stationing retrograde is an optical illusion. The Earth, it passes by, right? Passes the planet. Now the Earth is going around the sun. It looks like that planet's going to move backwards in the sky. If you could see Neptune in the sky, you would see how it would back up from Aries into Pisces. It would just backtrack in the sky just a little bit, but it's not visible but with the naked eye. As the higher vibration of Venus, what's going to happen? Well, you know what? The veil drops. When Neptune goes retrograde, it's no longer able to conceal as well as it could, right? It promotes art, but it promotes art in a different way, right? The addictions and everything come to the surface. They're treatable at this point. That's where you can go, right? Now's the time to see your addictions for what they are. The urge to create, that's very strong. It's going to intensify as Neptune returns to Pisces. And then we're going to go back over it again and really make this stuff weird, right? It's going to be fun. It's going to be a very fun time. This is going to last for years, too. The yacht is gone. Now, were you able to intuit your mission? Hopefully you did. And there is Saturn and Neptune going retrograde. Look at that. She's done up as Aries, but she's looking backwards. And here we go. Our Sabian symbolism, like I told you, is the first degree of Taurus. And that's because it's the key to unlocking the true nature of the power of Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, and indirectly Pluto as well, believe it or not. It is a clear mountain stream. This suggests a natural purity. It's your nature and your body that's being cleansed. Use this information to begin a long-term healing process. Get mindful and move. That's a very necessary step. Now, living the lunar life is something I like to do because I just like to address the phases of the moon and how it moves through the charts and how it affects daily-astrocat.com. The power of the new moon in her own sign of Cancer is unmistakable, or unmistakable even. Combined with her foray into Scorpio, the watery creativity of the crab has found a place to hide an Easter egg. For when the sun swings into Scorpio. It is your prize, so protect it tenaciously. The full moon in Capricorn that's coming up in next week is going to know a thing or two about the need for persistence, tenacious and defensive. That's our crab, and that's all I have for you. Please take the time to like this video. Smash that subscribe button, okay? Show me some love. Make daily-astrocat.com part of your routine. The podcast is on YouTube or at daily-astrocat.com. Look below. I'm going to throw some other handy links in there. And subscribe and click to receive the notifications, okay? As always, appreciate and love every single one of you. Happy astrocatting.